and kept walking. And then I remember but from behind heard him go, and see, kids, that's why you don't always come downtown. There's people like that here. And I was like,
oh shit.
I was like,
religious. Welcome to the Beacon House Podcast, recorded live in Knoxville, Tennessee.
And so after that, the cops told me I should probably just avoid discount dentists altogether.
I really want to know what happened with you and this dentist.
I don't know, but he did no work on my mouth whatsoever.
Well, he started to get the drill out, and when Casey heard him unzip his pants, things went south real quick.
I didn't know you could tuck a fanny pack underneath your shirt like that.
Oh my God. Okay, we're off and running now. Folks, this is the Beacon House Podcast. And sorry that it was so tragic at the beginning. I started to say rapey. Are we allowed to say rapey?
We're allowed to say what we want on here.
Yeah, I think so.
The beginning of this podcast was extremely rapey.
Casey, when you signed up for all natural fillings, what were you expecting?
Semen. Definitely semen.
Then why were you... Shit. Thanks for listening every week, Mom. I love you.
Yeah. It's been a pleasure talking to you guys. They're literally beating the feds are at the door right now, breaking our door down. So
because you said
cancel our
twice.
show.
Look at what you did. Now it's on there 3 times.
I know. Anyway, guys, how are you guys doing today? It's been a second here. It's been a very exciting week. You launched Party Chat. How's that been going?
Party Chat's been going good. I've literally spent the last 3 days doing nothing but watching live streams of E3 conferences and taking notes. Post episode's gonna hopefully come out end of I think the 15th or 16th, sometime around that weekend.
Got it. So we're gonna have a video up on our Facebook channel with you guys doing post E3 coverage, talking about what you saw, what you thought about, all that kind of stuff, right?
YouTube channel.
Right. Yeah, on the YouTube channel. And it's going to be...
What did I say?
You said Facebook.
I have no fucking
idea.
I'm
going to put it on Facebook.
I'm so not...
I mean, you are right, but
I'm
it's
drinking
on
coffee.
the YouTube channel.
I meant to say YouTube. Thanks for getting my bag.
When I want to go in and warn people now with the Party Chat post E3 episode. It is going to be a long one. It's going to be a doozy. There's a lot to cover. There's been a lot of announcements. And it's been really exciting. I've gotten weirdly excited over a lot of different games being announced that I didn't know were coming.
Well, you're passionate about this, and you now get to actually write it off as a work expense almost. So
yeah.
That's...
Yeah, and honestly, anybody that's listening to this, that's made it this far listening to you, surely they're going to make it through one more episode of Party Chat.
They're only there for Jason, let's be honest.
He is so awesome. Jason, if you're listening, God, you're awesome. I love you.
He listens to every episode.
Shit, he's cool as fuck. I can't wait to have him back on. It was great. I will say, man, too, like just going back and I barely had to edit that episode at all. And again, we edit the podcast for continuity, not for content. But man, like... that guy's such a good conversationalist. Everything just flowed perfectly, and he was like funny and lighthearted. Just like he was and that was our first Skype call interview too. Like, man, that was a big one for me. So, shout out Jason. We love you guys. Casey, congratulations on Party Chat. Let's keep it going. And guys, I had something usually Casey comes up with he usually opens the discussion with I'm
happy with a break.
He's like, how I didn't help somebody this week. I didn't loan somebody my phone. I do
have a story.
I'm sure you do.
We don't want to hear about you tripping an old woman.
No, this one's actually, okay, I'll save it for later.
Did she cut in line? Is that what happened?
No.
There's going to be something terrible, I can tell you right now. Something awful's going to happen. Anyway.
Get us off on a good start.
Well, this is not a good start, but I saw something that really there was something that really kind of struck me. I was over in West Knoxville, and I was actually going to buy our planner for this podcast so we could kind of map out when we're going to have guests and when we're going to launch episodes and stuff like that, because we're getting organized. Anyway, but I had to go over to the shopping center there where Toys R Us is, or soon will not be.
Yeah, they closed down. I think it's gone now.
Is it totally gone now?
Yeah.
Holy shit, man. It's the end of an era. What a giant... I mean, that's fucking huge, man. And I kind of Googled it to just read, there's... Here, let me read off a couple things for you here. Toys R Us liquidating, getting rid of everything. Claire's, which I don't know what Claire... Is that Claire's Boutique?
Claire's is like where jewelry, like earrings and piercings and stuff.
That's what I thought.
It's kind of where a lot of people would just steal from my understanding. They're like the Walgreens for teenagers. Like you just walk in and want to steal something.
Okay, well, it didn't work out for them because they're filing bankruptcy. Best Buy is closing 257 stores.
Thank God.
Including the one in the mall.
The one in the mall. Is there a Best Buy in the mall?
There
Mobile.
was. Well, yeah, but still.
Oh, okay. Kay, Jared, Zales, all these jewelry stores closing 200
Jared's
stores.
in jail.
Not that Jared.
Get out, Hunter. Oh, man, it's been a while. I've been holding that one in. Get
Came
out.
out aggressively, too.
Ann Taylor closing 400 stores. Foot Locker closing 110 stores. Mattress Firm closing 175 stores. Bilo, Winn-Dixie. Do you remember those grocery stores? Closing 94 stores. You don't even see them around here anymore. And they're
Winn-Dixie's dead, too.
A&F closing 60 stores, and something called the Walking Company. I guess a shoe store. It's bankrupt. But you're just seeing these, like, here's what's significant about a lot of these stores. They were around for a long time. Mm-hmm. This wasn't just like, hey, somebody started a business and it didn't really take off. They were around for like 20, 30 years, and now they're just falling flat. Mm-hmm. And I just think that says something kind of, what do you guys think about? I mean, is that scary to you at all?
No, not one bit.
You're totally for it.
Because it's all Amazon.
That's what I'm saying.
All these stores you just mentioned, Best Buy, Toys R Us, Foot Locker, Claire's, even small-end grocery stores, all this stuff that they sell you can find on Amazon for cheaper, and probably, I mean, you have to wait a couple of days to get it, but it usually is about $5 to $10 cheaper. And usually it shows up, and if it's not exactly what you wanted, you can send it back and they'll replace it. A lot of these stores have this weird, like, return policies and things like that. Amazon's just like, you don't like what was sent, send it back. We'll hook you up with what you want, or we'll give you your money back. They're pretty good about that. I don't, we're not sponsored by Amazon. I just really like them as a company.
So you're all for it. You're like, as many companies as Amazon can kill, fucking do it.
Yeah. I mean, if you can get everything, I mean, I know it sounds bad for me to say because that's people losing their jobs, but if you have more Amazon warehouses opening up, hiring those people in, and you also, I'm just lazy. I really enjoy the fact that I can just order things online and it show up in the next day or so.
And man, we can't judge you for that because apparently you're in the majority. Mm-hmm. Because these people are no longer going to shop at these places. Hunter, what do you think? What's your take on all that?
Okay, so when this got announced, Libby and I were talking about it, and she was talking about all these people that would come into her work, and they would be talking about it themselves amongst their friend group or to the cashier if they're by themselves. And can you believe Toys R Us is going out of sale? Rest in peace, Toys R Us, and I'm so sad, and all the memories, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, and again, Spencer's right. Power to you for shopping that way. I do most of my shopping that way, too, on Amazon. But that's because I go after really particular shit that you can't find anywhere else. Otherwise, the thing that I got up in arms about was not that people were upset or that it was happening, but it felt like society as a whole over here had pulled the wool over their own eyes. And I was like, how many of those people, if you had to guess, do you think actively walked into a brick and mortar store and spent money there and did it knowing that in doing that they were helping to keep it afloat and helping to promote brick and mortar economy versus a borderline monopolized economy, which is not fair because Amazon's really a warehouse, but it kind of, as far as the medium in which you buy things is kind of true now. She was like, probably almost none of them. And I was like, well, that's why. And that's true across the board. And again, that's not, Amazon's being smart about it. And I'm not trying to shit on the people that do that. But it bothers me when people get sad about stuff that they're to blame for. Sure. Which is the part where I thought I'd sound like an asshole.
Well, no, and I'll say, like, I got sad seeing Toys R Us with it going out of business because I remember going in there as a kid and thinking, like, wait, well, how are they going to replace that experience? You can't get that experience on Amazon. You can't walk down an aisle filled with 1 million toys or stuffed animals or bicycles or whatever. There's no online experience to compare with it. It was like being in the toy store when I was little was like being in Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. I would run amok through that place.
Same.
And you cannot, I don't give a fuck how good virtual technology or whatever, you cannot replicate that feeling on a screen of a laptop, a TV, a phone, anything. There's just no artificial substitute for it. But the thing is, apparently people just quit caring. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden the convenience of like not having to leave the house and having a box show up on your... You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would have hated to have had to wait until we opened a brown box to see what my toy looked like.
Right. Because you never know what's going to happen, too, on the way there.
Just the idea that you see this thing, like whatever, and you just have to have it right at that moment, and it becomes tangible. Like, I think it's a shame that that's disappeared, too. But again, Well,
I feel like the generations now, like of younger kids, they don't care about that experience like we did back in the day. Like when toys were the big commodity, now it's electronics. And Toys R Us try to do their best to compete with electronics, but also in saying that, Toys R Us was kind of overpriced everywhere you looked. Like you could go to Walmart and find the same toy for a cheaper price. You could go and find the same electronic and like it's like everything they had seemed to be about $10 more, which I think is damaging. Like I know you're trying to keep your business afloat, but I just feel like $5 to $10 more cannot make or break a store. Well, there's no way.
And Gary Vaynerchuk, who's a big like entrepreneur, like genius. So he was very brutal. He was like, look, fuck Toys R Us. They had a chance to adapt and they didn't do it. Like their stores were dirty. They weren't appealing. They had bad service. Like he kind of made, and I don't know if that's true. I think that's true. After I stopped being a kid, I only went to Toys R Us like once, but somewhere along the line, it stopped being appealing to people. And you're absolutely right. You don't get that experience online. You have perfectly looking pictures. Like there's not really, you don't have the authenticity of a great day.
You also don't have things going out of stock online.
That's true. You can always get it or find it somewhere else.
Depends, but yeah, mostly. Two separate things that both of you brought up. With the Walmart thing, that's another thing that came up in looking at the economics surrounding all this, because the brick and mortar stores that do fine are the giant like warehouse chain stores like that, the Walmarts, Targets, Costco's, that type of thing. And it's because it's your one-stop shop destination like Amazon is, but you can also just go right down the road if you need to get XYZ. And that's also good. And he's right about they didn't adapt, and that's one of the things that's killing bookstores right now too. So those are all fair points, but that is part of it as well. Like if you only shop Amazon or only go Walmart, Target, that's why all these other places die, is that you are not giving business elsewhere. And it is fair because Casey's right about the $5 or $10 difference. I used to complain about it all the time.
Honestly, and this is going to sound weird, but I think it's true, is the reason most bookstores haven't gone out of business due to like Amazon and Kindle and stuff like that is the feel and smell of a bookstore. Like you walk in, you can grab a book physically, open it up, check it out. And I think that has such a niche following of people who just love that.
Yeah, no offense to anybody that's got a Kindle or
no, absolutely. I use my phone. I use my phone to read books sometimes.
I fucking don't. I don't think the artificial book experience has gotten... Well, now, there is one thing, though, and that's audiobooks, which I think are pretty fucking cool, especially when they're read by the author or the subject, or a great voice actor or something like that. Or like Eliza Weathers.
Or even Michael C. Hall reading Pet Sematary. Incredible.
Totally worth skipping the actual paper experience, but I don't think like a iPad is enough to get you away from like having a real book. Again, maybe I'm old school. And here's another thing I want to point out too. I think companies, we're not at the end of this story yet. I think companies like Amazon and these massive online eBay and, I think those have, up to this point, been aided by brick and mortar stores. Mm-hmm. People have seen what things look like in the real world. They saw it a couple weeks ago. They just don't have time to go get it.
Oh, that's a good point.
I think it's going to be different when all these stores actually just go away and you drive down the street and there's nothing but a bunch of boarded up buildings. And you hope that there's a tangible world on the other side of your phone, but you just sort of have to believe that things look like... For instance, Amazon is great in terms of convenience, but they sell a lot of crap. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times the Amazon's Choice or whatever, the Prime, no free shipping, they're pushing that stuff because it's got a super low overhead because it was literally made in a sweatshop somewhere for like fucking pennies.
Yeah.
I walk, and I'm not shitting on Amazon. I walked in here today with a box from Amazon with a microphone clip. Mm-hmm. I ordered it off Amazon because you can't find it anywhere else.
Right.
And I wanted to have it and it was great. But I also ordered a mic stand from Amazon, like a microphone stand, and it is a piece of shit. I mean, it's the most flimsy. It's got an Amazon sticker on it. Amazon doesn't make fucking microphone stands. They're not in the business of microphone. They don't know shit about mic stands. It's some dick in a warehouse just saying. And there's another thing too that kind of bothers. I realize that yes, if Amazon puts Toys R Us out of business all over the United States, then all of those employees could go work for Amazon if they open an Amazon in the same fucking building. Mm-hmm. But if Amazon, like around here, there's not one in Knoxville. There's one in Chattanooga. But if 40 people lose their job at Toys R Us...
5.
5 people?
That's why their customer service sucks. They don't hire people. And when they do hire people, they only work them 5 hours.
But you know for a fact only 5 people worked at that Toys R Us.
I mean,
I think he might be.
I think it's impossible to know that.
There's
no way a store that size has less than 20 employees. There's no way.
There's not 40. I know that.
I mean, I have like 55 employees in a store like 1/4 the size of Toys R Us.
I've known people to work at Toys R Us and say that they don't give you but 15 hours a week. So they might have 40 employees, but you'll never see them because they only work 1 or 2 days a week.
Sure, well, the Starbucks fucking does that too. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, there's a lot of companies that go, hey, we'll pay you $11 an hour and you get full medical benefits, and you sign on and they go, oh, actually, that's only for the people who work 40 hours. And you go, oh, well, who gets 40 hours? Nobody. Mm-hmm. You know, again, whatever. We'll get into that later. I just think it's weird to see the shift. Some of these companies almost seem like they were too big to fail. Like, when are kids not going to want toys?
Well, nowadays.
Oh, I guess so. I guess maybe that's it. But man,
you have your Fortnites and your iPhones. You don't
but that doesn't matter to a 3-year-old. That doesn't matter to a 2-year-old.
It does, unfortunately.
It does.
That's
mommy, daddy are on phones. I want one. I want to see it. Give me. Ooh, yeah. Angry Birds. Ooh.
Yeah, but that's not Fortnite. Like
Candy Crush. That's why I said iPhones.
Yeah, as an uncle of...
And I guess you could buy the toys for toddlers. You could buy that stuff at like Target.
Many I can't count anymore.
Target and Walmart.
I guess.
But you have the Amazon stores coming. Have you heard about this?
No.
There's Amazon stores coming where you can...
Ones.
It's basically a brick and mortar where you walk in with your phone, you scan the barcode with your phone, pay for it, and then as you leave, there's someone there to go, let me see, you show them what you picked up, show them on your phone that you purchased it, and you leave the store. No human interaction whatsoever. Which I think is totally a step in the wrong direction. But
agreed.
I think it's enabling people to get and they've talked about it widely. This is not a secret. It's called cocoon phase. Mm-hmm. That's another phase in society where people are so entrenched in their technology that they lose the ability to interact, and so you don't want to have to talk to somebody to buy gas. You don't want to have to talk to somebody to that's self-checkout. That's blah, blah. There's just zero human interaction.
Yeah.
And it's just a further step in that direction. I understand it's going to happen, but I think it's fucking terrifying.
The idea, whether it's a Best Buy with movies and video games or a Toys R Us with action figures or anything else, the destruction of discovery and the journey of discovery where you... Libby's mom asked me the other day about the way that products and ads are tailored to you based on your shopping habits and viewing habits. She goes, so what do you think of that? And I said, well, it's nice in that you get to find other stuff you didn't know was there that's right up your alley, but I don't like it because in doing that...
You never see anything new.
Exactly.
You're in this echo chamber.
Yeah, you never happen to walk by and go, what the fuck is that? And then just go grab it and you have a new thing you love. There's no growth, no expansion.
It's just like,
they want to put you in your box and your bubble and keep you there because you give them money, they make you fat, and when you burst, they feed you to the pigs.
But isn't that kind of a problem in and of itself where you walk around into a store, they put up something new that you've never seen before, you go, what is that? You pick it up and you buy it, even though you probably don't need it? You just want it because it's new and it's different. You haven't seen it before.
That is a problem, but that's also wanting to keep up with the Joneses, and I don't give two shits what the Joneses
I don't think
doing.
I think that's a...
But no, that's fair.
You just walk up and you see a movie and it's like, oh, Freddy vs. Jason 2, straight to DVD. I didn't know this existed. Now I'm going to spend $15 on it. When in reality, if you hadn't seen that, it would have gone under the radar. It probably isn't a great movie, and you probably don't need it anyways, but the fact that you just saw it, immediately your mind's like, get it, buy
Casey's
it.
trying to reconcile the fact that he dreamed about Freddy vs. Jason 2 last night and woke up wet and hard.
I could see that.
It was incredible.
I bet it was. As long as he takes that glove off. That glove is rough.
Casey
if
never
if it doesn't fit, you can't quit.
Well, no, I would say what you were saying, like maybe just old school merchandising where you walk through a store and you see things that maybe you wouldn't have thought about buying, and the fact that they're placed in a way, But I think that the argument for that is exactly the same argument as I just think you may not have bought it anyway, but there's a ton of suggestion online too of customers who bought this, also bought this, and also bought that, and blah blah blah. I just think that that's choices, and the whole reason that things like Amazon and places like large conglomerates like that exist is for choices. It's the whole reason iTunes put the record industry out of business. People wanted more choices. They wanted to have 1,000 songs on their phone, period. And they didn't want to have to pay for them. And it's all these choices and choices and choices. That's not that much different than retail. But anyway, it's a fascinating conversation. I want to kind of wrap it up, though, and we can move on. But I will say this. Another one of the stores that has been in the discussion lately, here's a huge company that's going out of business, is a place I used to work at, Guitar Center. They say nobody wants to go in there anymore. And there's a lot of the same complaints like Toys R Us. Bad service. It's horribly disorganized. I can never find what I'm looking for in there. It's better to just order it on eBay or order it on Amazon or blah, 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 blah. Or now there's a lot of independent manufacturers on which not, and I actually am one of them, SpencerCable.com. Like, you can't buy that shit. You can't buy that Guitar Center either. Yeah, totally shameless plug. But everybody's talking about, and they filed for bankruptcy and they recently got reviewed and they got like a negative or a triple C credit rating or something, just something terrible. And everybody was just waiting on the axe to drop. Go ahead.
Well, the thing with Guitar Center, I can speak to personally because I've been in a few times in recent months, and that hurts because I used to love going in back before I even got into music because I just loved music from the day I was born. Then get into it, you want to go into the acoustic room, you want to look at microphones.
It's a hub.
That part of it is still attractive to me, but having gone in, grabbed some strings for Ian, who was in one of my bands, and then going to the checkout to buy them, two of the dudes there were talking to each other socially, not professionally, behind the counter with no customers on either side. And Libby and I stood there for no shit 5 minutes. And then the guy finally turned around and goes, "Oh, do you need to check out? Do you need help with something?" And I was like, "Okay, we're good to go." And he goes, "Oh, cool. I'll get you over here." Then it was totally cool. We bought the stuff and then, God, I'm going to sound like such a angry old woman. Bought the stuff, he gave the change back, and then left the product on the counter, scattered with all the other shit that's always on the counter, and stepped away, and I had to look for it for a second to make sure I got the thing that I actually paid for. Yeah. So, I mean, on that level, it's kind of similar to the Toys R Us.
And that's apparently why people are just going, you know what, I'll just go on Amazon. Yeah. I have more to add to that, though. Go ahead.
And I know you used to work at Guitar Center, and I'm sure back in the day, Guitar Center was great. But fuck Guitar Center. I've been in there. When we started doing this podcast, I went in there 2 or 3 times looking for stuff. And every time I went in there, I had to chase someone down to help me locate it. And when I did, they go, "Yeah, we don't carry that." And so then I would go and just look for myself, end up finding the product. And they go, "Oh, I guess we do have that." And then go to pay for it. And they're like, "Oh, that's going to be this much." I'm like, "Well, the sign over there says it's on sale for this much." "Well, it's telling me it's this much." And I'm like, "You know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to go to Amazon."
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is you can't compete with this like... Well, you can, but most places aren't cognizant yet that they have to compete with this extremely neutral experience, which is what you get on Amazon. Mm-hmm. And let's be honest, nobody's ever gotten good service from Amazon. Nobody's ever had a great experience with Amazon. They've just not had a bad experience. They've had push your button and something comes out of the machine.
Except when you bought something and it never showed up, and when you tracked it down,
well,
no record
sure, but like,
but otherwise,
nobody's ever gone, "Oh my God!" Like when I pressed like place order, like I just had the greatest feeling, and like they talked so nice to me, and like it's a tactile thing. There's nothing impressive about it other than it's just hopefully nothing's going to go wrong.
And the place order button can't be rude.
And again, it's vanilla. It's zero. It's a zero sum game. It's not great. It's not. Hopefully, it's not bad. But like, if a business does have well trained staff and they do have good people, they can beat Amazon every like 9 days out of the week. You know, like it's going to be fucking people that are like super cool. And like, if you know anybody like that anywhere in town, if you shop anywhere and there's somebody awesome there, you're always going to go there over Amazon. Always.
Yeah.
And I felt like a couple places, I just, that experience is still going to win, but it's local. Here's the thing though. I ran into a friend of mine, and I know we just said all this terrible shit about Guitar Center. And I'm being honest too, man. I fucking haven't been in there in a while because they stopped carrying things that I liked. I started looking at things that are not widely commercial. I shopped online a lot, but I ran into my buddy John Springer, who was in the band Luminoth.
Oh,
he's in a new band now. He's got a new band, Summoner's Circle, and there's supposedly going to be, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but we're working on a Luminoth reunion. We'll just say that.
Oh, please, God.
I know. Anyway, John Springer, I ran into him, and he still works at Guitar Center, and he's helped me out with a ton of stuff.
I don't feel awkward.
Well, no. I mean,
No,
like,
I don't.
I'm sure he has people that work with him that he knows treat other people exactly like, or before he worked there when he was a customer, I'm sure he was treated that way too. And there's good and bad. Like, it depends on who you get. But I ran into him, and he was talking to me, and we just sort of started talking about, he's still there. He's still doing great. And I know if anybody runs into John Springer, they're going to have a fabulous experience. Mm-hmm. Springer's solid, man. He's a great dude, and he's going to totally he's helped me on some stuff, like just finding the right thing and whatever. He gives you honest advice, But again, I know that we're taking a long way around the fucking block on this, but I saw a thing where there was an article somewhere about Guitar Center. I was like, oh, this is going to be it. This is going to be the one where they go closing in February or whatever.
Right.
And instead, they posted an increase. Like recently, they actually had like positive sales for a quarter or something like that. And everybody's like, whoa, that's not supposed to happen. And then they decided that they're about to spend a ton of money and they're going to revamp their whole process. And supposedly it's going to be geared towards being more inviting and not chasing people around like a used car lot. But supposedly it's going to be like when people come in, they're going to encourage them to stay, and they're going to serve coffee and shit like that. And they're going to try to have this more of an environment where they allow people to come in and just stay and feel at home and meet each other. Like you were talking about, like it used to be cool just to go there because it was a hub. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that's the only place you could meet new musicians is at the music store. If that closes, there's a huge chunk of the legs of any music scene cut out from under. I know there's mom and pop places too, but again, it'd be interesting to see. And the whole reason I brought that up is I'm wondering if some of these stores, some of these companies that are on the verge of like going out of business, maybe they're going to revamp.
They
so
should.
maybe what if, and let's all just be hopeful, what if there's a future staring us in the face that has the convenience of Amazon and eBay and Target and Walmart, whatever like that. But because of the power of those companies, it forces local businesses to revamp to where you can't afford to have a negative experience. Mm-hmm. Like they're so eager for your business because they know you could just go on Amazon. So they've got to like really up their game. So what if places like Guitar Center and God knows who else, like all of a sudden you go in and it just like, boom, you get the royal treatment.
Yeah.
Like what if they actually invest in like customer service to a point where they can compete? Like that to me is a little hopeful and not just like, I feel when I see things like Toys R Us closing, I feel like you're just all over the United States. You're just driving through towns with boarded up buildings.
Yeah.
And even though I can buy anything I want on my fucking phone, that's not a world I want to live in.
Well, that's also what kind of keeps people, for the clientele that we had, going back to Books A Million all the time. Because with the way that they would lack product a lot, and that store's falling apart, and it's no one's fault there that works there. I mean, the managers and the employees do everything they can desperately to make it as nice as possible. But I haven't been in much since I left, but everybody there was always cool and inviting, and even if you were having a bad day, for the most part, they were good at like trying to cover it up and just like really chill, help you out if you do. What you said about it being almost Books A Million was a hub, is one for us here in town, and that's because of those people. It's the people that they have in there. It's not the product, and it's not the store itself. It's the personnel that bring you back to Joe Muggs, that bring you back to the comic book section in the back corner, and then you get whatever you're going to get and leave. That comes right down to the people that are there. So shout out you guys.
Yeah, totally.
Target actually does a thing where they match price with Amazon. And if you pull it up on Amazon and prove that Amazon sells that product at a cheaper price, they will match that price. That's how I got, like, I wanted Stephen King's new book, The Outsider, immediately. Like, I saw it in stores. I was like, oh shit, it's out. Looked it up online. It was like, 2 or 3 day wait. And I went to Target, found it there, $30. And I pulled it up on Amazon. I was like, it's $18 on Amazon. And they're like, cool, $18 it is.
That's so smart.
And they sold it to me.
Yeah, that's smart.
And I usually do that with video games as well. If I want a physical copy, usually I do digital nowadays. But if I want a physical copy of a game, I'll just look it up on Amazon. It's usually about $10
They need
cheaper.
to push that in their advertising, by the way, because I had no idea. But I've seen some of their commercials, and I never saw that part.
Oh.
It's good that they are pushing it, but until you told me, I didn't know. Now that I know, go in there as much as possible, because I want to support.
You got to prove that it's sold by Amazon and not a third party. That's the stipulation.
It has to have the Amazon name under it. Right.
That's pretty cool. Well, man, so shout out to that. Like, it's always thank God that people are the thing that make the difference. Mm-hmm. That's good to know. And I think maybe as a bookend to this part of the conversation, like that's pretty cool to know. Maybe we are looking at a new place where local stores are going to price match, and then if you don't want to wait, you don't have to wait. Or if you want the interior experience of commerce or whatever, that you get to like walk around in a place. I don't want like all the businesses to close up. I don't want the mall to close. I don't want just like, I don't go to them a lot, but like, God, it's one of those things where you just go, one day you go, hey, I'm going to go to the store, and then it's just not there anymore. Mm-hmm. And like that's sad just to think like crap. And I've ordered, like I said, I walked in here with a package from Amazon. I think Amazon's real handy for specific things or stuff where you don't need it to be super high quality, but there's some things Amazon is not good for shopping for, Anyway.
I don't know. Their toilet paper selection is on top.
That's because they're on top of shit.
Boom.
I don't know how.
All right.
I was going to come in with a joke, and you swiped my leg.
I
actually
swept the leg.
You mentioned something about these stores starting to treat customers like royalty, things like that. And it brought something up to me that I kind of want to talk to you guys about.
PTSD?
No. Customer service in general, but not from the employee standpoint, but from the customer standpoint. Me working, I worked customer service for almost my whole life that I've worked since I was 15. I've been in some sort of customer service related job. And there's a lot of times where people will take the customer is always right too far.
Yeah.
And when they're told, hey, this is not how things work, and then they pitch a fit. And I mean, most stores that I worked at have the trickle down effect where they write a bad review, corporate sees it, yells at their boss, and it just trickles down to the employees who have no real say, make minimum wage and get yelled at for a negative review that might not even be their fault. And I'm just kind of curious to see what you guys thought. I know, Spencer, in your position, I know we don't want to mention where you work, but your position, you have a different.
Yeah, but and I'm not going to mention what I do or anything like that. But I've taught whole entire workshops on customer service and all. For starters, if anybody ever taught you to tell the customer, well, that's not how it works, that's terrible customer service.
Yeah,
that's not what you do. You just say, I'm terribly sorry. Here's what I can do for you. You don't go, you're wrong, or you Dan, and no, I can't. That's all stupid. All that's just that's not anybody trying to solve a problem. So, okay, so there's a difference between customer service and terrible customer service. There's a difference between good training and bad training. So that whole kind of thing. I don't think the customer is always right. And when I interview people for my customer rep positions and stuff like that, I always go, what do you think about customer service? And if they go, the customer is always right, I go, no, they're not.
Yeah.
Neither am I. Neither are you. Nobody's always right. You've got to stop looking at about it. For starters, it's business. Business has nothing to do with who's right.
Yeah.
Or who's wrong. It just has to do with who's got the money and where is it going.
That's
is
true.
it going into your pocket, or is it going? Zoom out and think about, why is there such a thing as customer service anyway? Because the customer has the money, and that money will pay your KUB bill or whatever. That money will buy you a cup of coffee if you can get it.
What if it's waiting staff, and your customer service is based off tips, and you try your damnedest and you try your best, but you have a lot of tables that day, and you maybe slipped a little bit, and that person doesn't tip you at all.
It doesn't matter. If you have a lot of tables, you're going to make it up in volume. That's the big thing. If you're in a tip-based business, just take as many opportunities as you can. It's always going to work out. And if you don't consistently make good tips, there's something wrong with you. I promise. It's a proven industry. Totally. Some people tip, some people don't. Just like the review thing. And I do want to comment on that. People that write reviews and all these companies now that are really paying attention to online reviews. And I think it's kind of sad, because a lot of people just type whatever the fuck they want. They're not really we have a thing like that too, where sometimes there's a and it's always a third-party company that makes money by collecting reviews and then shoveling them to you, So somebody's making money off of it first to let people feel like they're being heard. But somebody needs an outlet to complain. If something goes wrong, they should be able to complain. Same thing happens with you and me.
Yeah.
If you pay for something, you don't get what you paid for, you ought to be able to call or email somebody and get something done about it. So
there's also a way to do it, which is, I think, what Casey was talking about.
But the problem is there's no way to filter that. There's no way to filter the assholes from the good people, because they all have the money.
That's true, but
and you got to get it from all of them. If you only want to take money from people that are fun to work with, you're going to be bankrupt. You will literally be on the streets, like the people we talked about in episode Sweet Dreams. But as far as being in customer service, you've got to detach yourself from the personal feeling of it. You've got to look at it I teach people I have a set of tools that I will give you to handle an upset customer, just like you would imagine if your car started breaking down or running out of gas or whatever, and you pulled over and opened the hood and just got real emotional about it.
Yeah.
The car won't start. You have to find what's wrong and apply the proper tool to the situation. Just like a nail in the wall or a loose fitting on a plumbing or whatever. That's the same way customer service works. You have to have a set of tools that you apply to the situation. And there's no feelings involved. There's no hurt feelings. There's no nothing.
I want to ask you, I want to put you in a scenario. I want to see what you do. You're working behind a counter, we'll say at a coffee shop, and you take the person's order. You're very nice. You make their drink. You give it back. You give their drink to them. And you give them their change.
Got it.
And then the guest goes, "You gave me the wrong change."
I already would have not let that happen because I would have had their money laying on the counter until I handed them their change. If you exchange the money the correct way, that never happens. That's just all a matter of training.
I'm not following you.
There's a lot of people. Okay, the biggest danger in exchanging money between people, okay, is the biggest difference between exchanging money is there's a lot of quick change artists, people that'll slide like a $5 bill and then they'll distract you and then they'll go, "Hey man, I gave you a 20." Hoping that you're stupid enough to just go, "Oh, I'm sorry," and you give them 3 more 5s out of the register. Mm-hmm. That's another big thing people do. That's why the way you're supposed to take money, and I bet you guys have never been taught this at any job you've ever had. Right? They're supposed to teach you this kind of stuff in loss prevention. Instead, everybody's on their phone jacking off, whatever, like society. So
Godzilla Rule 34.
If you're my customer, I'm pointing at Hunter right now. If you're my customer, and I say, "Hey, your coffee's going to be $6.50." Mm-hmm. And you hand me a $10 bill, I don't take that and put it in the register. Mm-hmm. I lay it on the counter in between us so that we can both see it. Then I go into the register and I produce $3.50. 3 ones, 50 cents. And as I hand it to you, I tell you here's your change, it's $3.50. Mm-hmm. Boom in the hand. And then as soon as you have accepted that change, I take the $10 bill. We're both seeing everything that happens. I take the $10 bill. And then I start to move it towards the register. At that point, that's their only chance to contest the change. And it's still in their hand. You can go, "Open your hand."
Okay, fine. So this person made the exchange, acknowledged, did the whole thing.
And then, so when did they come back?
They were still standing there.
They never left.
I was making the drink. They were still standing there. I handed the drink off.
So you turn around. You already had the money in the
Two people. 2 people were working.
Okay.
The person working the register handed the money, did the whole exchange.
Right.
Then I finished the drink, set it back down. The person grabbed the drink, looked at their receipt and their change, and went, "Oh, you gave me the wrong change." Mm-hmm. And she was like, "Oh, well, I mean, we had the whole..." And she was like, "No, listen, you idiot. You gave me the wrong change."
Okay, that's at that point, you call a manager in.
Yeah.
Any business model that doesn't say that's where a manager steps in, who's trained to deal with that, like that...
Well, if the manager's left for the day. That happens.
There has to be a manager.
That's not supposed to happen, but that does happen.
That does happen. That happens there all the time.
If that's the case, then the whole thing fails from the top down. It doesn't matter. You might as well just set the till or the cash register out in the lobby and let people just take money out of it.
But what do you do when
that's terrible? That's a bad infrastructure. That business is doomed to fail.
Well, it is. But if the
that
king
business
is
one of the best businesses in the nation.
I disagree. I'm sorry. That's not. If there's no manager on duty, and nobody's any type of the arbiter of like theft or loss prevention,
but it happens. It happens.
Hold on. Like, Spencer's right. Casey's talking number crunching economics, best business in the country.
All I'm saying
I know it's stupid, but it happens.
It's being run poorly.
I agree, but it still happens.
If there's nobody that can come in and either make a decision on whether that customer is going to be taken care of, and there's a lot of other factors too. If it's a customer, and I guess if somebody's just buying coffee, you probably don't have this, but in some businesses, they have a record of the customer. And if somebody has like a massive track record of spending money with the company, and maybe they're just having a bad day, or they're just kind of like, I can't instruct a business on what to do, but at some point, your customer gets the benefit of the doubt if they're not a crazy person. If it's a good customer and they're just having a bad day or they're having an off day, it's worth, you know what? Let me give you $10. Here you go. I'm so sorry it happened.
Because you'll make it back in like 2 days.
You'll make way more than it back. In fact, if you see the numbers on it, running off somebody that's a regular customer, the fiscal effect on a business like that is insane over the course of a year. You're way better off taking a loss, even if you know that they're wrong, in order for but again, that's why it's business and it's not who's right and who's wrong. If you're worried about who's right and who's wrong, I do not suggest going into customer service, my friend.
I think the point I'm trying to get at here, and I don't think you're going to agree with me, but Hunter probably will, is, and I could be way wrong about my statement here, but sometimes the customer is kind of a piece of shit. And
I'm not saying they're not. I'm saying they're a piece of shit with the $20 that you need to survive your business.
Right. But sometimes...
So you can go out the door with no money in your fucking pocket talking about how everybody's a piece of shit, or you can be successful. But there's not a third option.
I don't know. I just feel like there's been this weird... Back in the day, you see like old movies with or you see like old commercials and things like that with like different interactions with customer and the customer service person. And I feel like it's gotten different nowadays. Something's changed, and it's almost like if the customer doesn't get, like if they go into a store looking for a certain item around Black Friday, the store doesn't carry it, and all of a sudden there's this big shitstorm all over Facebook, or maybe a Starbucks sells a red cup and they say that it's not Christian anymore. So then there's this big uproar and people start boycotting Starbucks for something that it's not even a real problem to be had.
Sure.
There's a problem with the customer base at that point.
I agree.
There's nothing that the customer service people can do when someone goes, fuck you and your company because of your stupid red cup.
You're talking about the people that wake up wanting to be pissed off.
Well, and that's another
and
part
they wake
of the
up
problem.
wanting to shit on people, and then they go into a store and they yell at people who make $7.50 an hour, knowing damn well those people have no power to change anything.
Sure.
They're just following orders, and they get there and get screamed at, and then the manager gets called over, and the manager goes, here's a $5 gift card. And the person looks at the guest service person they were interacting with and went, thank you, to the manager, and then walks off thinking that person is still the piece of shit.
Sure.
They think that person is the bad person just because the manager who made up the rule in the first place handed them a $5 gift card, which the customer service person cannot do. They don't have the power to do that.
He's right.
So where's the fix there?
There's not a fix. That's what you have to do. That's called the price of doing business, my friend. Mm-hmm. You're looking for me to say something like customers suck, and there's no switch.
I don't want you to say customers suck.
There's no switch you can flip that's going to make everybody act right. And the further we go down this rabbit hole, which by the way includes Amazon, of everybody gets what they want immediately, and if they don't, they throw a big fit, and everybody has a voice that they think matters because you can go on social media and just say whatever asinine, uneducated thing you want to about anything you want to and stir up a big thing. That's the world we're moving into. Mm-hmm. And companies that are smart understand that something that happens on social media can actually affect their revenue. And at that point, it doesn't matter who was nasty to who or who was having a bad day or poor little Charlie got yelled at by that angry woman. At that point, 50,000 people's jobs depend on their public profile. And somebody smart has to come in and go, all right, we're going to have to at least stay somewhat good in the public eye. But I think where you're having a problem with this is you're still looking for some fairness. There's not. There's no fairness in it at all. But I will tell you this: when you meet good people, they'll bubble to the top.
Yeah.
When somebody comes in and goes, "Hey man, how's it going?" Blah blah blah. Yeah, I'm here to pick up this, or yeah, man, I kind of get a coffee. Blah blah blah. And you make it wrong, and they go, "Oh, dude, I hate to be like this, but it was wrong." I was like, "Oh shit, man, I'm really sorry. Let me remake it." No, it's cool. And two people have kind of a moment. When everybody's a fucking baby, mm-hmm. the people who are not really stand out. And I think that's the silver lining of the whole thing. It's like nowadays more than ever, not being a piece of shit is a great thing to be because you'll stand out and it's easy to be an example to people that are kind of terrible to deal with, you know?
Yeah. That is the ultimate goal. It's the best option that you have, even when it sucks. If you want a quick fix, however, I do have a solution I can offer you, which is one Spencer's not going for. And it's not the right thing to do.
I can honestly tell you I've probably already done it. I've done a lot of shitty things to people who piss me off.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Just dish it right back, which is not a good thing to do.
Yeah, you reserve the option to go, hey, fuck you. And you know what? Even though I'm in the business of like teaching people to not do that, when I see it happen to somebody, sometimes I go, yeah, they got what they fucking deserve. Mm-hmm. You know, like I can't do it. I can't teach people to do it. And sometimes I'm in the position where I could either tell this lady to fuck off. And what if it's a big client? Like what if it's somebody that spends a lot of money and they're being a shithead and you want to go, you're being kind of a fucking shithead right now. And then, but like, you have to look at like, I could either do that and then get in terrible trouble about it and not even feel good for doing it. Or I could just go, I could figure out a way around the problem and then hire 3 more people that way or that week and they can have jobs, you know, somewhere in there, you've got to go like, my ego is fine. I'm going to be okay. This person doesn't know me. They're being a dick. It can't hurt me. I'm not so fucking insecure that I'm going to let it like hurt my feelings. I'm just going to look at it like a problem. I'm going to select the correct tool. I'm going to fix the problem. Mm-hmm. That's the only way I've ever seen
my tool for fixing problems when I worked in this said coffee shop was when somebody was being nice, they usually got things for like, you know, maybe a discount of some sort, or maybe I'd give them a little extra of something like,
nobody listening to this will ever hire you.
That's fine. I don't really want to work in coffee shops anymore, anyways. But no, like if I was
That's
making
a fucking
like
shame because you're the best.
Say I would make like a blended drink of some sort, and there's a little extra. I would take a kid's cup, like a free kid's cup, or couple sample cups, pour it out, and be like, "Here, here's a little extra. Like there's leftover. You can. Usually we're supposed to throw it away, but take it.
I mean,
give it to your kid or whatever. Yeah, they're paying for it." However, if you're being a piece of shit and you want something that's highly caffeinated, you get decaf. So that 2:00 crash hits even harder because I don't give you caffeine when you yell at me.
Do you guys remember? And that's a real thing. Do you remember the movie Waiting? Did anybody see?
I love that movie.
Where like the people are shitty to the help, and then they just like spit in their food and all this kind of stuff. Like, there's a lesson in there. Like, you might get a good guy. Like me that just wants to go, oh, I'm so sorry, let me give you a credit and let's just all move
then
forward.
Then you might get me.
Or you might get Casey who's like just took a dump in your cup, like because you were shitty about it. Like so.
Or make the shot, which everyone who works in coffee shops should know that when you make the shot and you need to like mix it together immediately. Or, I might make your shot and leave it sitting there for a minute while I steam your milk and don't mix it with anything. It dies and tastes like shit and I put it in your cup and I hand it to you.
Yeah.
The best gentle retaliation I'd ever come across, and if you're going to take the low road, and it ultimately is the low road no matter how justified it is to retaliate against dick customers, is probably to do
absolutely
this.
Low road.
Brad Meltzer of television fame, novel writer, comic book writer, he did an interview, this had to be like 12 years ago or something, and one of the questions, it was one of those fun little just puff pieces or whatever, and the interview, the question was, what was your worst job and how did you handle the bad days? And he said like in college or something when he was first starting out, he did an ice cream stand. And if someone was good to him, he would do what Casey did and like, here's like an extra third of a scoop that I'm supposed to not give you, or here's some sprinkles for free or whatever. He goes, if someone was an asshole, I would be as kind as possible, a Spencer McCoy all the way through. And the Casey part that comes out is as he goes down to grab your the scoop, I guess, the ice cream and put it in, he would crack the very, very bottom, just smallest tip off the end of the cone and hand it to you. So by the time you got down the block, it's melted and it's seeping onto the ground.
That is beautiful.
And there's another look. I want to say I'm not okay with people being shitty. I'm not trying to defend it. I'm just saying we're talking about two entirely different subjects. If we're talking about, does customer service suck? Of course it does.
Yeah.
It's horrible dealing with the public. The public, I'm not fucking, most of the time I'm super like anti people. Like I'm going through Walmart late at night, just like, ugh, but fucking, again, there's a difference between like wanting to be successful and like having feelings about how the world works,
Yeah.
But I will say this, that thing you're just talking about, the retaliation, that also is a very, very vital rule that people are supposed to observe too. Like, you catch more flies with honey than you do with shit.
Yeah, no, for sure.
At some point, you've got to be taught that being an asshole is just not going to pay off. And I hate people that think,
here's the thing:
if I bitch, I get what like. That only works up to a point. At a point, the manager goes, "Don't come in here anymore."
See, that's what I want.
At a point when somebody goes, they give me the wrong change. Okay, well, here's $5, and then the next week they give me wrong change. All right, we went through this last week, and like I watched them make change here, and like, well, I'm going to call. You know what? Here's $5. The next time, don't come in the store anymore.
Yeah.
There is a limit where you do tell the customer no.
Yeah, shop
but
elsewhere.
that's why I was saying that one company, there should have been a guy on staff to come in and protect you guys.
It pays off to be nice to the person that handles your food, drink, or money, like change, or like, bags your groceries for you. Because I know some people who work in grocery stores who say that people come through the line acting real shitty and their bread just happens to get put in the bottom of the bag that the milk gets put on top of.
Exactly. There's a book called The Four Agreements that my dear, dear, dear friend Jessica Clowers gave to me a while back. And one of the very first things, and it's like 4 things that you have to, like, if you're going to exist at all in the world, you've got to come to grips with these things. One of them is people treat you the way they treat you, not because of you, but because of them. So if somebody comes in and they're being an asshole, they're upset. Something's wrong. Somebody might have just died. You don't know. But it's definitely not you.
Yeah.
And there's nothing for you to defend against. There's nothing to go like, hey, you shouldn't be talking to me like this because I really did my best. And actually, you were wrong about the ingredients in your coffee. There's no such thing. Something's wrong on the other side of the counter. And all you can do is just try to be as nice as you can be. and it's not related.
And that's why the retaliation ultimately isn't worth it. Even though it feels,
I'm not going to say. I mean, you know,
I think it isn't.
When I see somebody get told to fuck off that really deserved it, I'm like, fuck yeah.
Well, they might have really deserved it, but even still, you feel like normally you can tell when someone's being a snooty asshole, but you still don't actually know what's going on at home consistently.
And have you ever been somewhere where you were dealing with somebody, like you're trying to buy something from somebody, and that person was like the snooty, I know it all, like you don't know what you're talking about, like you don't want that, or you know what I mean? Like that's also bad customer service when the fucking person at the counter has this like holier than thou attitude. You want somebody to go, yes sir, I'll get that right for you, I'll be right back. Like, yeah, okay, here you go. Have a good day. That's what people want. They don't want somebody to go, oh, well, the thing about it is, blah, 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 blah. I know so much. I'm this exalted expert on whatever it is you're buying. You know, shut the fuck up. Fire that guy. The thing, too, like, I love seeing people get what's coming to them, just not when it affects my business.
I will say retaliation isn't great. However, it feels fucking awesome whenever someone's being real shitty to you and you kill them with kindness and then give them decaf. But what's funny is you mentioned, like, you know, saying that taking the higher road is the better. And I don't know why, but this brings me to my awkward story I wanted to share before.
We got to move away from this whole customer service thing. I will say that customer service is not as important as long as we've been talking about it. Edit. But fucking go on. Yes, Casey, let's hear your story here.
So I was downtown Knoxville, and I was coming up the garage in the elevator, and the doors open. And if you guys could help me with this, what religion and or type of following is it where I know this is gonna sound awful, but I'm not trying to mean it bad, but where the women wear the really long denim dresses, and is it the Amish? I don't think it's Amish.
No, that's not Amish. You're talking about that's iffy, because there's Christian sects that are like that too. There are denominations of Christianity that are.
Well, and it matters because the elevator's doors open and there's 10 people in a semicircle surrounding the entire elevator door as it opens up, and I went, excuse me, and it was some women and some guys, and they're all wearing like either like really like, you know, jeans or like denim skirts, and they're all like kind of well Sunday dressed, even
like
though it was
stuffily conservatively dressed.
Kinda, yeah.
Okay, so the thing, just real quick, that can, and I'm gonna miss some too, and this is a generalization, guessing, but just to give an example, that can be anything from Amish to like a denomination of Mormonism or a denomination of Christianity. There's a bunch that do that. So
hopefully this will help, because I get off the elevator and I do kind of the side step where I turn sideways and scoot like a crab because they're crowding the elevator door
on all fours.
Yeah, and the dad looked at me, put his hand on my shoulder, which I don't like, period, at all, and goes, "Excuse me, brother, I think you dropped this." And he handed me a pamphlet, and it said, "Your wish," and it had two hands like in a praying position. And I went, "No, I didn't." He goes, "I think you did. You should take this." And I said, "No, I'm really okay." And he goes, "But you look like you need it." And I went, no. I was like really close to being like, you know what? And, you know, saying what I thought on my mind. And instead, I remembered telling all my awkward stories and how you guys react to them. So I just went, "No, I really didn't drop that. I'm good, thanks." And kept walking. And then I remember but from behind, heard him go, "And see, kids, that's why you don't always come downtown. There's people like that here." And I was like,
"Oh shit!"
I was like, religious.
Now in retrospect, I really wanted to take it and then turn around and throw it in the trash behind me and go, "Yeah, I did drop that. I meant to throw it away earlier," and then go. But I didn't. I remember that you guys tell me I'm such a piece of shit. So
well, no, that's different. You handled that way better than I. If somebody would have said, "You look like you need this," like that guy would have had a terrible afternoon. I'm not kidding you, religious or not. Even if I believe the same thing he believed, if somebody said that shit to me, it'd be fucking on. But I don't like that shit either. I used to argue with people that would these fucking idiots that would stand outside like heavy metal concerts, like "You're going to hell," and they'd hold these signs up. And I remember seeing Megadeth in Bristol a long time ago, and it was still the really good lineup. You know, it was fucking ferocious. But and at this point, lead singer Dave Mustaine, who's one of the biggest metal apologists ever, probably second biggest figure in metal, right under James Hetfield from Metallica. And he had just gotten like saved, or he was just like really into like religion at this point. And they played a ferocious set. He wasn't like vanilla. I mean, he cussed, and he was just like, it's real fiery. But the very last thing he said, thanks for coming. And he said, you've been great. We've been Megadeth. And then he put his hands up, like kind of like the Wakanda thing, but up, and he said, there's power in the blood of Christ. And he walked off stage.
I love that.
And I was like, man, that guy's really, so he spoke his mind. He didn't try to like force. He just said like, here's my little thing. And I was leaving, and the minute we walked outside the arena, there were all these like religious nuts, and they were like, repent or go, you're going to hell. They just had all kinds of shit. And I was like, do you have any idea what just happened in there? Mm-hmm. Like, you don't know. And again, so I just realized like it's usually an issue of ignorance. You know what I'm saying? Like, that guy doesn't know you. You look like you need this. Why? Because I've got a piece of pastrami in my beard, or like you look like you need this. Like, flip him off. You know?
I have a story where I was told why I needed it. I got cornered at McKay's.
Eat shit.
That is where they circle.
It was shortly.
I'm going to start hanging out there.
Yeah, discount Bibles.
Okay. It was shortly after I had been saved, and I think it had to be roundabouts a year, maybe just over when I became Christian. And I had just gotten my tattoo. I've got a tattoo of a cross made of 3 nails on my arm, for those of you that don't know. But you guys also know, Spencer and Casey, and most of you listening, I love my monsters. And I went to the paranormal and occult section because I wanted to look for shit on aliens, vampires, and Bigfoot.
Which is
all porn.
In this, all the porn, yeah.
That's why they didn't care about Bigfoot until it was
the porn.
Until it was like Bigfoot with like a thong.
This woman, super nice about it the whole time, but it still set me like volcanically angry. Came around the corner and goes, I just want you to know that Jesus loves you and you're forgiven, or something like that. But what I remembered is, I just want you to know that Jesus loves you. And I knew what was happening immediately, but I tried to take the high road. I guess I ultimately did, because I didn't retaliate in any ways. But I smiled and I was like, I do know, thank you. And she goes, well, yeah, but if you did, you wouldn't be looking at these. And I was like, I just got baptized a month ago. Thank you very much. And I had a cross necklace on too, and I was like, I'm looking at monsters, thanks, bye. And that's as vicious as it got, but that came right out to, well, you're interested in Bigfoot, so your spirit's going to hell because, Jesus didn't like Bigfoot.
And again, ignorance. I mean,
that's why he wiped them all out.
There's nothing that can be made. There's nothing that can be made good by the presence of ignorance in it.
Yeah.
Like there's no matter what you think is cool, you put some ignorant people in it, and then give them a voice, and it's always going to taint it in color.
I thought it was supposed to be blissful, though.
Yeah, I don't know.
So,
one thing we've basically established in this podcast is people suck.
Now, I feel like now looking back on it, there's so many things I could have done. Like, he could have been like, hey, man, you look like you need this. And I would have been like, hail Satan, and then just walked off. Like, would that have done anything?
What you could have done is taken it and then walked around the corner and thrown it away if you weren't going to read it.
Oh, I mean, if I was going to take it and throw it away, I was going to do it in front of him after he told me you need this.
I know, but my thing is, depending, and I get he touched you, shouldn't have done that. He said that you looked like you needed it, also shouldn't have done that. Yeah. Maybe the gentlest way you could have said that is, I just want you to know that you're loved, or something like that, which is still kind of saying the same thing, but not always.
That's less offensive than you look like you need this.
Oh, no, for sure, but that's what I mean.
Like, I just really, really want you to know there's some stuff in here that might be good news for you. Like, would you mind if I just gave you this? Like, you could go about it that way. But anybody that doesn't take that is probably has a problem too. Or they could just go, no, thank you. Go, all right, never mind. Hope you have a good day. Yeah. Like, there's a way to be pleasant. I think it comes down to manners.
I also don't like when they show up at your house with said pamphlet and knock on your door. At that point, I hide. I just act like I'm not home.
Well, when I was a kid, there was this really nice guy that used to come up, and he somehow, and here's the creepy part, he knew when my parents weren't home. Like, I got old enough to stay by myself. When my parents would go to the store or whatever, and I was like, screw that, I want to play Nintendo. He would somehow show up on those days. And it was this older black guy, and he was super cool, and he was dressed really nice, and he was like real friendly. And he would go, hey, do you mind if I talk to you about like God for a minute? And I would go, oh, okay, what do you got to say? And he had these little pamphlets, and he was like, well, he's like, I just wanted you to know that like God loves us. And I was like, well, I believe that. Like, okay. And he was like, but also like, we don't have to go to heaven. Like, we could just live on earth forever. And I was like, really? And he goes, yeah, look at these little, and it was the corniest pictures of like men living with lions and shit, just like laying out in this pasture. And I was like, this is weird. It was Jehovah's Witness guy.
Yeah.
And I'm not shitting on him if anybody believes that or whatever, but the
lock your doors, are trying to take Christmas away.
But there
from
was
you.
an element of like deception in the whole thing, you know. And then he gave me one of those books, and like fucking, I remember I showed it to my parents, and they go, "Man, this Jehovah's Witness thing," and I was like, "Oh," and I kind of like, and after that, I was like, "That guy never told me that straight up. He just told me I was learning about God," and like. Mm-hmm. And maybe in his opinion I was, but I got real salty about it in the coming years. And when they would show up at the door, like this is also when I was entering my heavy metal phase. So I probably had a Slayer shirt on or whatever. And I would just open the door and go, I fucking worship Satan. I don't want to talk to you. But if you want to come in, we could use a couple more victims to throw on the fucking barbecue pit back here. And they would get these weird looks. But I did that. I told a whole bunch of people that. I was like, we're slaughtering a goat right now. If you want to go, fuck, you know.
There's been a couple of times where they've shown up at the door on the
fuck the sun, long live the beast.
I
was into it. I loved just chasing them off, you know.
Oh god.
There's been a few times growing up as I got older and just really got aggravated where I would just answer in a robe that was just open. And I would just be like, I would just leave it open and just be like, here. And I'll be like, no, let's talk about it. Like, no, really, it's okay. I'm sorry if I bother. I'm like, no, really, it's fine. Let's talk about God. And they're like, no, I'm fine. I got to go. I'll see you later. I'm like, really? Are you guys sure?
Oh, God. So if anybody's wondering a good place to solicit, we're going to provide Casey's address on the Facebook page.
Oh, shit.
And if you see him answer the door in a robe, get ready for a wild ride.
I'm seeing there's actually a main point that ties through all of this, and I don't know why no one's brought it up.
Retaliation is not okay, but
that's
it's fucking funny.
The main thing is Halloween has a trailer that just came out.
Holy shit! Yes, and it looks fantastic.
How does that tie?
Shut the fuck up, Casey. I wanted to talk about it.
Get out, Hunter.
That's less of a tie-in and more of like a tie-off, but still. The Halloween trailer looks.
What'd you think?
I thought it looked awesome.
I thought it looked awesome. I can't wait to see what they do with it. Jamie Lee Curtis is back, and she looks fucking fierce as ever.
Yeah, dude. I mean, she was fierce just like one season ago in Scream Queens. Like she's consistently not been shitty. I mean, she's been fucking badass forever. So I don't see there being a downside to that at all. And it looks like maybe they're going to kind of get a little. I don't know. It looks like I'm fucking excited. Put it that way.
Same.
Good. All right.
Please subscribe. Please like. Please hit that bell.
Share.
That's a big one. Please tell somebody else. Like, subscribe. Give us a review if you see fit to. And again, please send in questions. I've been telling everybody that I meet about the podcast that like we want to answer your questions. Like that was so fun to interact with like outside stimulus. So please give us some questions. Give us a scenario. Anything.
Steal your friend's phone, hack into it, write something shitty on Facebook, and then go to their Instagram and follow us.
Yeah, I promise we don't spam on Instagram. We very rarely we post new episode updates and some in between things. But I mean, we're not going to blow up your Instagram. We're not going to fuck it up. I promise. Most of the stuff is going to be few and far between, and it should be pretty tasteful.
You will get a video of Spencer's head being shaved, though.
Yes, you will. Instagram at Beacon House Knox, Twitter at Beacon House Knox, Facebook, the Beacon House Podcast, YouTube, Beacon House Podcast. Please find us on social media. Please follow us. Please like. Every little piece of support is always helpful and always, gives us a boost in morale to keep doing what we do. Even if you hated us, we'd still do it.
And we are coming up on mailbag, so send in mail.
That's right.
Mailbag.
We're ready for another mailbag. We're ready for multiple new mailbag episodes.
We see all you guys commenting on Facebook and on the YouTube videos. Send in.
That's right.
Anything.
That's right. And if you have an idea for another poll, I think we're about due for another big poll here.
Yep. I'm probably gonna put one out before this episode comes out.
All right. Good. Well, then I hope you guys are fighting like fucking crazy over it right now. Anyway, we want to say thank you so much for tuning in again. I'm Spence.
I'm Hunter. There's power in the blood of Christ.
I'm Casey. Hell Satan. And crunchy peanut butter is better.
Oh, no.